Hi, we're continuing in this 4 installments of consistently exceeding 100 ideal clients' expectations working 3 days a week. This is what I implemented, and for many years, month after month, year after year, for years, I worked 3 days a week serving 100 ideal clients. There are 3 stages to this journey, and in part one, I share my story, how I built this business that consistently exceeded the expectations of these ideal clients while working only 3 days a week. Now, in this video, we begin with what I call stage one of this framework. This is where everything starts, because without fixing the central work product, nothing else is going to work in this whole system. So what is the central work product? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a financial plan. Why do I say that? Because a financial plan is an industry term. The data is clear, and keep in mind, when I look at the data, I am primarily interested in what the clients are thinking, what they interpret these terms to me. And looking at the data, multimillionaires dislike this term financial plan, even though it means different things to different people. No precise definition. 92% of multimillionaires confirm that if their financial advisor has ever created one of these called a financial plan, they've never seen it. Can you believe that only 8% of multimillionaires confirm that they've ever seen any document that could be described as a comprehensive financial plan? Now, let me tell you what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that financial advisors haven't created a financial plan, maybe in the background, or maybe they called it something else. Maybe just the client forgot that they received it some time ago. But regardless of what's really going on, I'm interested in client perceptions. And only 8% of clients recall ever seeing any document that could be described as a comprehensive financial plan. And for clients who have seen a financial plan, these multimillionaires are not impressed by it. And of course, these financial plans come in various forms because there is no standardized format or template or anything like that for a financial plan, but usually they involve charts and graphs and sometimes narratives, but seldom ever is this financial plan in the format that the clients want most. How do I know? Because I researched. I asked a lot of affluent ideal clients, if you did receive one of these, what would it look like? The format and the framework is quite reasonable. I call it OST. What the client expects is clearly stated objectives. The client has objectives in all the areas of their financial life. They have financial planning objectives. They have tax objectives. They have estate planning objectives. So clearly stated objectives in all areas of personal finance is what they expect, and then an understandable strategy supporting each of these objectives, and then tactics and action items designed to implement the strategy which supports the objectives. So you have objectives with strategies, and then tactics to implement the strategies. A simple framework, actually, that's going to allow for creating all future client progress meetings that are going to consistently exceed your client's expectations. So this central focal point, which I do not call a financial plan because it's a meaningless term that actually has a bad connotation in the mind of the client, but what I'm describing is more like the crown jewel of a foundational work product that without which it's very difficult to impress clients going forward. But with this comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy, that will create all the material, if it's done as thoroughly and with as much attention to detail as the clients expect. This will create the next 12 months of client agendas. In the current research, according to Multimillionaire, ideal clients' financial plans fall somewhere between confusing and hard to interpret to the other end, which is it's limited in scope and not as comprehensive as I had hoped. So the feedback for those handful of clients that have seen a financial plan, it leaves a lot to be desired. I noticed in the research, when you dig into the data, I'll never forget some ideal clients describe the financial plan as more or less a sales brochure designed to sell other financial products and services offered by their financial advisor. We've got to battle this client expectation. So, as I say, a financial plan is limited. Let's not call it a financial plan ever again. And as limited as they are, most advisors stop there. They don't create a more comprehensive document. So given that 92% of clients don't recall ever seeing a documented plan or a playbook or a description of future strategies, can you see now why more than 90% of financial advisors are blind to this disconnect? They don't understand because they either think I gave the client this plan way back when, they just don't remember, or they'd given a plan to clients, but according to the data, the odds that the client was impressed by that plan is statistically zero. We didn't find in our research a single client that said this comprehensive written lifetime strategy provided by my advisor is outstanding, impressive, knocked my socks off. We never saw that in all the research. Most just think it doesn't exist outside the head of their financial advisor. So I said in the last video that data confirms most clients actually do trust their financial advisor, but they worry when you dig into the data that the strategy that exists would go away if something happened to the advisor. They think it's in the advisor's head and nowhere else. This right here is the blind spot for financial advisors. What the ideal client actually thinks is there is a strategy. Unfortunately, they think it's in the mind of their advisor. What you need to know is that ideal clients will pay more for a process-based system than they'd ever be willing to pay for a personality-based service, such as, I have a great financial strategy, it's in the head of my advisor, and if something happened, if he got hit by a bus, then the whole strategy is dependent upon the financial advisor who's holding this future game plan of our family mostly in their head. And another blind spot for financial advisors who have not looked carefully at this data, even the idea of charging for services is not what ideal clients will pay the most for. And most advisors, when you ask them what they do, they provide a list of services. We do financial planning, investment management, estate planning, tax planning. There are services that are listed. What they don't realize is that ideal clients will pay more, substantially more, for outcomes, despite top advisors, and this is particularly true with top producers and number one firms that we work with, they insist on providing services rather than promising outcomes. That right there is another difference between what an ordinary financial plan versus a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy. A financial plan is actually a product of that list of services. We do financial planning. Here's the work product. It's called a financial plan. Whereas a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy is the foundation for delivering an extraordinary client experience at all future client progress meetings. Let's go through it. I want you to memorize those words in that sequence. Every word in that sequence is data tested. It's a data-driven description. Clients want this strategy to be comprehensive. So then you have to ask yourself, what does comprehensive mean? It's got to be in writing. Can't be in the head of the advisor. So it's got to be written. Lifetime. It needs to cover the client's entire lifetime, not just what needs to be done right here, right now in this meeting, and not just the next 12 months. This crown jewel needs to cover the entire lifetime of the client in terms of action items and strategy. It really is envisioning the entire client's life expectancy. And then financial strategy. What is a strategy? A strategy is something designed to achieve an objective. So you can't have a strategy without an objective. So there you go. Now we're back full circle to the framework that the client expects, the client wants, and the client is willing to pay the most for. Objectives in all 5 areas of personal finance, followed by strategies for each objective, and then tactics to implement the strategies. To meet client expectations, it is extremely detailed with a thoroughness that clients have never seen before. It envisions all likely scenarios, and most of the unlikely scenarios are also outlined in this strategy if they would have a large impact on the plan. This is something that statistically 0 ideal clients have ever seen. So this is a market opportunity for you to dial into and deliver what affluent ideal clients want most, but they've never seen because advisors are either unwilling or unable to provide what the clients want. So this more thorough strategy with greater attention to detail misses no reasonable situation that a client family might face. Our experience confirms that once created at this level of detail, clients are often willing to pay 10 times more in fees. Most advisors, when you look at what they were charging before versus what they're compensated after they create this format, it's very commonly 10x. But this baseline document that allows an advisor to deliver an extraordinary client experience is the central piece of stage 1. And it is always current. Your commitment is to update it at least once per year. That's the bare minimum. So how can you create a lifetime strategy? Because you know it's going to be updated and course corrected at least once every year. So this annual update is the minimum client expectation. The extraordinary client experience comes from what I call the 3-meeting process. It took a couple of years to dial this in and to test several different meeting frequencies. But once the comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy is created, then every 4 months thereafter, you meet with every ideal client for a client progress meeting. And in those meetings, you update the assumptions of the plan and you make course corrections. You reveal hidden significant financial issues because this format is designed to get people to open up and share significant financial issues with you before they turn into problems. When you do this every 4 months, the client's financial house is always in perfect order, not just once, but you're on a cadence for keeping it in perfect order for the rest of their lives. So that is what allows you to guarantee outcomes instead of just listing and promising services. By committing to this higher level comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy alongside and followed up with the 3-meeting process where you're meeting every 4 months to update the plan, course correct, there are 3 bottom line client outcomes for every ideal client family that you can pledge and should pledge. These are data tested and you can deliver on these promises. First, you'll always be on track to your goals, Mr. and Mrs. Client. My pledge. Second, you'll never have any financial surprises. Third outcome that I will pledge is that you will make better financial decisions in all areas of your financial life, not just investments. So how can you pledge this? Because this is delivered by a system built around the comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy and the 3-meeting process. Now, before you jump out of your chair and say, how do you guarantee this or that? Or how would you even guarantee to always be on track to your goals? How on earth would you guarantee no financial surprises? You'll clarify the ground rules around these pledges, and you're going to draw bright lines and clear boundaries around these outcomes that you're pledging. For example, I guarantee no financial surprises that could have been avoided by proper and better planning. Okay, so I'm not saying there aren't ground rules. I'm not saying that you don't need to create these boundaries. You do, but that doesn't change the fact that you're pledging and committing to client outcomes that matter to the client. This is what makes us radically different from ordinary advisors. Do a little research in your market about the advisors in your area. Does any advisor in your market promise any outcomes? Or do they simply provide a menu of services, investment management, financial planning, estate planning, insurance, tax work, and so on? The idea of any advisor in your market promising anything. Most advisors won't guarantee to return your phone call. The word guarantee sticks in their throat. So services alone are not what ideal clients value the most, and ideal clients will pay more by pledging outcomes. So when you speak in terms of outcomes they care about, you're singing their song, and you'll be the only financial advisor who's singing their song. You'll stand out, and let me tell you, for client acquisition, different is better than better when it comes to financial advisors. Even though there are differences, clients can't identify anything that they value which their current financial advisor provides, which is different from other advisors. They just assume what they're getting from their advisor, every advisor is providing. So shift your focus. Ideal clients want confidence that they're on track. They want clarity that there'll be no surprises. And they want peace of mind that every financial decision is a wise one. And that's what they're really buying. And what does that describe? Those 3 outcomes? It describes a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy, this methodology, with systems around it, the 3-meeting process, to deliver on those pledges. First and foremost, a well-designed strategy for all 5 areas of personal finance. Every objective has an understandable strategy, followed by all the action items and tactics required to implement all these strategies. It's all laid out. Now there's a playbook in place. It's a blueprint so that if the financial advisor were to disappear one day, the client's CPA or the client's estate planning lawyer could be handed this game plan to continue implementing. The client now feels safe and is willing to pay a premium for that feeling, often a 10x premium. So in the next video, we're going to move on to stage 2. Once this central work product is now fixed and every ideal client has a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy that you've created and a process to update and course correct it forever using the 3-meeting process, now it's time to build and lead a team to take this chore off your plate and transform this system into an extraordinary client experience that's scalable. If you're serious about implementing what we've been talking about in this video, I'm always going to recommend that you join the Mark of Mastery. TheMarkofMastery.com is a free program, and this is where we go deeper into building a business around these concepts that exceed client expectations. But we'll see you in the next video showing you how to build and lead a team.